Here we are. We're back again. What's up, everybody? This is the Bench Sheet Podcast. I am George Niang, and this is my co-host, Kevin Spees, and we're back again. We're doing this virtual thing. We're trying it out, obviously with my crazy, hectic schedule. We're down here on a road trip. Kevin's back in the great state of New York doing his darn thing, but we want to continue to give you guys what you want. So here we are.
The Bench Sheet, and not just any old podcast, but a podcast that is brought to you by somebody. And we are brought to you by MyBookie, our good friends at MyBookie. George, again, I can't believe we have a sponsor, but we do. They're still in this 12 Days of Christmas promotion. I don't know what day of Christmas it is now, 9th maybe. You get risk-free Thursdays. You get Super Boost, free bets. You get weekly casino giveaways.
Yes.
You got NFL playoffs coming up.
And you need that.
You sign up and use promo code GRILLGUY. You're going to get 50% of your deposit matched up to $2K. So, damn, maybe you're a high roller. You put up $2K. You're getting $1,000 in free bets. What?
Yeah.
That's a rack. I'm
You
not a
could
better
use that
because
on the over for passing yards of Patrick Mahomes.
type shit, and you probably could. Or whatever Saquon's numbers are, because he's going to go off to get the Eric Dickerson record. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Use promo code GRILLGUY. Everyone knows I'm the worst gambler, which is why I love gambling. It makes it fun for me. I expect to lose, but I gamble because it's fun. It makes games more interesting. Check out our boys at MyBookie. Get on, use promo code GRILLGUY, and we're just excited to have them as sponsors. As George, you were saying, I am in New York City, and it is, as they say out here, brick. It's cold. What's the weather like in Dallas?
It's still pretty cold, but if you got nothing to do, go and sign up for the 12 Days of Christmas on MyBookie.
Where did you get the haircut? That's what I need to know. Do you have people on the road that
I have my boy Joe out there in SF, Chosen Ones. He came to the hotel. Cut my hair up real nice.
So when you're in San Fran that you're getting a cut, like you're going to see your boy?
I needed one. We were going to be in LA the next day, so
you got to be
like
fresh.
that's one thing that guys know is like if you're pulling up to a city that's like one of them places, you better come in there with a fresh fade. But there's some guys that don't care, so I try and be a guy that wants to look the part, minus sometimes my jersey being
Don't
snug.
say it. Don't say it. I don't think your jersey's snug. I think they got you your right-fitting jersey, and also you've been fit for a while now. So
appreciate that.
You're still G-Wagon status. When you have a barber come, do you have to hit up other people on the team and be like, yo, barber's coming through. Does anybody need a cut?
That ain't my responsibility.
Damn, so everybody's out for their own?
No, I wouldn't say you're out for your own, but, like, it's not my responsibility to be like, yo, I got a guy coming through that's going to cut. Because, like, at the end of the day, like, if you're throwing out that offer out there, are these dudes getting cut in your room, or is the barber packing up all his stuff and, like, and we don't need to get into all that because, like, I have a routine. So it was, like, last second he came up. I left him some tickets to the game. He gave me a cut. I was good to go. And then
so now,
at least I had that fresh fade for when Draymond decided to powerbomb me to the ground.
Yeah,
if we run the clip. Hold up, run the clip, right? Because I actually set a good ass screen because I know he's like capable of like fighting over a screen and getting through it. But I knew I had like Steph on me, and I was like, okay, this would be good to get Evan go downhill. So then after I deck him, he drags me down the ground because I'm looking at Evan going at Steph Curry, and then I fly down the ground, and then I think he assumed that when he threw me down the ground, I was gonna like rumble up and get up, and I was just like, damn, like I just went flying. So then you watch him, he like puts his hand on my chest to almost like make sure like I'm not gonna get up too quick. So then I was like, what the fuck? And I'm like, come on, man. He's like, no, what? I'm trying to help you up. So then there's like a scrimmage, and then the camera goes off, but I'm like, that's how you really felt? You thought that was an illegal screen? He was like, no, I just wanted to make sure you wasn't going to get in the play.
It's funny because you spent time out there, so you know these guys, right? A little bit, like, or not really?
Yeah. I mean, we did like a China trip out there. I was on the G League team, so I wouldn't say I spent too much time with them, but I think over the course of the year, you like know people, and at that point, I know Draymond has this stigma of being like malicious, but at the end of the day, it was like kind of an effective way to what? He kept me out of the play. He knew he did something wild and threw me down on the ground, but then kind of transformed it into, I'm helping him out. So I respect it. He's crafty with, like, I don't want to say a smart basketball play, but you take the foul, take the ball out of bounds, protect himself. We move on. Like,
it's all good.
At the end of the day, I know there's been some fights, but
yeah, which we'll get to.
Niang ain't losing no chicken over fighting. That's for sure.
I know. Well, like, I think you sometimes play that enforcer role on the Cavs, and not that it was like he respects you, or he's like, like there's another Bash brother there. But I think it seemed like he was like friendly, like, yeah, he's gonna knock you down. But then he was like, he had to check your temperature and see like is this about to be something?
I was flatlining on the ground. Is that what you were saying?
No.
It wasn't no Tyler Hero Thompson. Was it? Is it Amen Thompson?
Amen Thompson. Amen Thompson. I don't know. Who got 3 games? But like, what? It's funny. It's funny because as a fan of the game, when you watch it, you always wish you knew what the words that were being said, because it's kind of like watching a movie on silent. Like, you try to make up the words in your mind.
You probably told your friends, like, George called me and he was like, yeah. Draymond was like, get down, and then George was like, nah, get off of me.
Come on, you asshole. And the other guy was like, do you want a piece of me?
Like, because white people always call each other like body parts. God, you're such a dick, ass.
Yeah, is that true?
You're such an ass.
Asshole.
No,
I don't know if I ever called anyone an ass, but yes, no, that is true. I wonder how different the shit talk is from the white folk of the NBA. But no, it was cool to see. And by the way, huge win, 3 huge wins on this road trip so far. Denver, am I getting this correct? Denver, then Golden State, then the Lakers.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is, sure, we haven't been getting a bunch of coverage, but I think I saw some stuff that people were saying, who have the Cavs played? They haven't played anybody from the West Coast, yada, 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 which is totally fine. I mean, we can't make our schedule and figure out who we're going to play. We can only play who's in front of us. So,
by the way, you're 9-0 against the Western Conference.
Anyway, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But, we have a pretty tough schedule coming up in January, and I think when we had those 2 days off from playing the 23rd against the Jazz to then, having Christmas Eve, Christmas off, and then having to fly to Denver in high altitude, I think all of us on the team were like, wow, we're going to have to really lock in and dial in because, traveling across the country plus having, Christmas time, holidays, I wouldn't say it's expected, but, sometimes you do lag and come out flat. And Denver came out playing, extremely hard. I mean, they're hungry for wins right now, especially on their home court. So getting that victory was huge. We put up a $150. That was impressive.
80, what was it, 80 in the first half or something? Which just
I
mean, you guys are especially in that game, you're putting up numbers that are 90s final scores, and like I think it was like 80 to 60 something, and it was just like, I mean, it was impressive to watch. Like, again, I know we say it like almost every week, but what's contributing to the offense just like clicking on all these different cylinders?
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to give a shout out to our 4 guys that should be all-stars, right? I know we have a lot of depth, and we talk about our depth and our, second unit and all the guys that we have coming in. But Darius, Donovan, the ability that they have to shoot off the dribble threes and to make those, they're doing it at an elite level. I'll just go out there and say it. Darius Garland is the if not the best point guard in the NBA, he's for sure the best point guard in the East right now. You look at his splits, you look at his numbers that he's putting up, they're remarkable, and he's doing a phenomenal job of doing that without having to force things or, overdo things. He's defending, he's scoring, he's assisting, he's playing at a high level, shooting at an elite level off the dribble, and same thing with Donovan. I mean, those guys are for sure, locks to go in the All-Star game, and you wonder what they'd be considering, All-NBA. And then you look at Evan Mobley, who's a legit threat and 3-point shooter, but also is a facilitator for us and can make plays off the bounce, bringing the ball up, and then is a legit, lob threat. And then you look at the Laker game where Jared Allen goes 14 to 16 and puts up like 30 in 15. So we have guys
all over the game, it seemed like, at the end.
All over the place that I think we have 4 All-Stars. Are they going to get in? I hope so. But I think it's a legit thing where, we have 4 All-Stars, and that's just what it is. People are going to be like, well, what about this guy? Well, it's like, okay, we've shown how consistent we are in winning over the course of however many games, and these are 4 guys that deserve to be in the All-Star game. Jared Allen deserved to be in last year for whatever reason. He didn't make it in. I think we have 4 legit candidates that deserve to be in the NBA All-Star game, and that's just that's final. That's final, Kevin.
It is, and it's hard to look at.
That's final.
It's hard to look at one of them and be like, all right, well, this is the weak link, because there's not one of them. It's just like sometimes, because I feel like Jared Allen gets the least amount of talk. Sometimes he's the most impressive. I'm like, this guy is like, in that Laker game, he had like the last 6 points, or not the last 6, but some really, really big buckets at the end of the game that you're just like, this guy he's so reliable in the paint. Like at any angle, no matter where his feet are facing, no matter who's down there, he's patient. He's got incredible footwork. It's like, this guy, who's a better center? Obviously there's a couple, but it's like, this guy's up there as one of the best centers in the league.
Well, find you a guy that screens, right?
Yeah.
Spaces the floor when you talk about we call it the dunker spot, where it's your butt is towards the baseline, but you're allowing space for someone to drive it. If he doesn't get the ball, still sprints back on defense, rebounds, and sprints the floor on offense. And guess what?
Runs the floor.
Doesn't complain, doesn't say anything. You can't find guys that do this, and that is also on top of all of his skill that he has with, whether if it's elite finishing or, pivots, shot blocking, all that Jared Allen brings. On top of that, he doesn't complain. He keeps everything in check. He anchors a defense. That's why he is so valuable, because who's to say that, sure, you can get someone that has equivalent skill to what he has, but who's to say that they're not going to be cool with just, okay, I'm not going to get the ball this time, but that's not going to refrain me from playing hard or sprinting the floor or having my teammates back. We've come across a real great dynamic here with the Cavs that, everybody's willing to just dive into how can I help the team, whether if that's sacrificing shots, not forcing things, and it really punishes teams over the course of a game. You look at, our last couple games, right? We're playing neck and neck with Golden State, right? We're not really scoring, but they're not really scoring. We had like a 4-minute lull in the second quarter where we weren't scoring, but they weren't also scoring. We were turning the ball over. And then finally, when we come in waves, where it's like our second unit comes in and they're still trying to implement their starters back in, then our starters come in and we really start getting rolling, where it's just like we have a couple waves of forces that are coming in, and it's hard for teams to keep up with that. When you look at the score sheet, where it's like, damn, our starters, one played 30, one played 29, one played 31, and their starters are at like 36, 38, 40, and we're like balancing 41, the minute sheet, which allows most of our guys to play a lot of these games because we're not heavy loading them with minutes. So it's been a great balance. Kenny's done a phenomenal job. And shout out to Kenny Atkinson. I know that I was out here giving credit to our 4 All-Stars. He just won back-to-back Coach of the Month. Truly deserving. He's been phenomenal.
Yeah. It's hard to argue anybody getting, like, if the season ended today, anybody else getting Coach of the Year. The guy has done an incredible job.
You sure? The Knicks won like 8 in a row. You're going to be like, Tom Thibodeau, he deserves it.
I love Thibodeau. And what's crazy is hearing a bunch of Knicks fans, they complain about him. That's a whole nother story. But going back to your depth, it's like that's what I really – and it's funny because Kenny talks about the playoffs in press conferences like often. So he'll be asked about like depth, and he'll be like, yeah, in the playoffs we're going to need that or whatever. He brings it up a lot. You can tell he's looking there. And it's true. Like, you guys can take runs. Like, obviously, basketball is a game of runs. You take runs, you give runs. When you guys take them, they're short-lived, and it never gets out of hand. But then when you guys give the runs, it seems like sometimes it can be like a tidal wave. Like, what the like, again, Ty Jerome, who's maybe your 8th or 9th man, is going to give you 30 one night, and you're going to be like, what the fuck happened? Or like Sam Merrill is going to play 8 minutes and a half and have 9 points, and you're like, those are huge. It's huge, you know? And then speaking of, you got another guy who just came back in Max Strus. What's it been like, you know, getting him back into the mix? He's averaging like, 7 points. I think he's shooting like 36% from three. Another shooter, a guy who's got experience. Has it been a seamless transition, like having him come back? What's been the vibe with that?
Yeah, no, I think everybody just is kind of on the same page of they know who they are. We know what to expect from other guys. It never really puts too much pressure on anyone to do anything outside of what they're capable of doing. Just go in there and be yourself, and it's eventually going to kind of figure its way out. You may have 3 points one night. You may have 20 the next. It's always going to be changing over the course of every game. So I think every guy's starting to realize that, and you just come in and do what you need to do. And I think Kenny does a good job of simplifying everybody's role and what's expected of them and what you need to do to continue to play. And with that happening, you're not going out there shooting in the dark like, oh, I need to make something happen. It's like, no, I need to do these 3 things because my team is depending on me to do these 3 things. So that's what I'm going to go out there and do.
Just a side note, the video of you and Tristan that got circulated on like FanDuel of you guys.
Oh, stay dangerous, twin.
Stay dangerous. It was fun to see. Like, is that your that's got to be your best friend on the team?
Man.
That's your dog.
And the crazy part is like, I don't really like speaking on Tristan, like especially like on the podcast because everyone has their own opinion about everybody and everything, right? And like everyone thinks they know who Tristan is because, of his personal life or who he's with or what he's doing. But that dude has never had like a bad day that would affect other people. Like energy is contagious, laughing, giggling, welcomes everyone in with open arms. And people like will come up to me and be like, what's he like? And I'd be like, you would love him. I'm like, you would love to be around someone that has that much contagious energy and can literally give off great vibes so that people all around our organization, our team, just feel comfortable in his presence because the vibe and positive, reinforcement that he gives. And it's just a great energy to have. And having him on like the post-game show when we win at home is just like hilarious. Cause sometimes you don't know like what's he going to say, especially when he said the line. It's like having home insurance, It's just what was going through your head that we were talking about basketball and that's what you thought of, but he's the best.
It's like you guys are trying to get the other person to laugh, which is what makes it funny. It's like, it's good. It's really fucking funny. And to be honest, like, well, number one, he's not a scrub, obviously. He's a really good basketball player that contributed heavily to a championship in Cleveland. But the things you're saying, the intangibles, it's no wonder why he's still getting picked up and still getting put on rosters. He's in the later stages of his career. Clearly, he adds a lot of value to that squad, like whether it be the energy or whatever. And then speaking personally, the one time I met him, I mean, one of the nicest guys you could ever meet.
Absolutely.
So cool to see him kind of, and also the only person that was on the last championship team that's on this team now. So it's cool to see a guy bridge the gaps. Speaking of championships, I have a little bone to pick, and I'd like to get your take on it. Some places have you guys, I know you're not a betting man, some places have you guys at 1,500 odds, which is like worse than like a lot of other teams. I think Boston's at like plus 300. New York, they have New York higher than you guys.
Oh, really?
They have OKC, which OKC up there, I could see it. But to me, there are 2 clear teams in the NBA that are on a different level. One is you guys, one is OKC. I get Boston having good odds because they're repeating, they're defending champions. That gives you a step up. Why is there so much, why is there a lack of coverage or, respect being put on the Cavaliers' name? What makes? Is it just because you guys
we all know why? Is like people want to see you win playoff games. Like they're just not gonna buy into the hype. And I guess, OKC's kind of in the same boat, but they have wowed people with I guess Shea being an MVP candidate and what they've done. But at the end of the day, like I think I don't want to say betting people, but they want to see you win playoff games. So I think none of us are really getting too high over here. Yes, it's awesome that we're having a phenomenal year, but we all know it's the regular season, and we all know what's going to be expected of us in the playoffs. And people are allowed to have their own opinions. Vegas has been wrong sometimes, right?
Yep.
Not to say that I would know in a basketball realm.
No, you're not a better.
But I think it's people want to see, playoff wins. And I think Boston, with all due respect, they get their love because they just won. You know what I mean? And they're bringing back the same team. But at the end of the day, you want to be healthy. You want to be grooving at the right time. So I think for us we're really just focused on, and I know it sounds cliche and I say it all the damn time, and people are probably like, George, shut the F up. But we're really just trying to just get a little bit better every single day. Like we had practice today, and we were working on like taking care of the ball, not turning it over. When we see this defense, what are we running? And kind of like running that, not at like a slow pace, but at like a shoot around pace, just so we can see, this is what's going to be open. We can try this, or how does this look? And Kenny kind of being like a problem solver and not like, hey, they ran this in the 80s back when I played, so like we're going to try to run this. It's more or less like, hey, how does this look? When we do this like this, what does this look like? And it allows us to kind of get a look at it in slow motion, and then in the game be like, okay, hey, we worked on this in practice, let's try this.
So let me ask a question that's basketball focused. Are most of your offensive sets a react to a coverage you're seeing? Okay, so can you give an example of one that's not getting away too many secrets? Like,
okay, so if you're like bringing the ball up in transition,
okay,
for one, there's like a read whether if our big guy has a bigger, slower guy on him, where you have either two options, right? You can flow into a pick and roll with the floor spaced correctly, and I'll try. It's hard for me to describe that. Say we're in a 5-out spacing, right? So there's corner, high quadrant, so we'd say wing, and then
up top.
And then top of the key. Top of the key is where the center is, right wing is where the point guard is, left wing is where a shooter, we'll say. So if you have a slower big that is not switching a ball screen and is willing to be in whatever we call it, like coverage, sometimes you flow into a ball screen. Like if Donovan Mitchell has it going, flow into a ball screen, get Donovan downhill, get Darius downhill. Usually good things happen. Sometimes when that guy is, really in the paint, and they have a bunch of teams that like really stress like keeping their big man in the paint,
especially in
transition.
Look
to run like an away screen against him. So rather than going to set a ball screen for Donovan, you'd pin away for the guy in the right wing, who would be a shooter. So our first look would be to come off and shoot the ball or turn the corner, and it's essentially just playing with reads, right? So there's like it's like a 3-man action, right? It'd be the ball handler, the screener, and the guy coming off the screen. The two corner guys are essentially just being used for space.
Shooters.
Right?
Yes.
So if the defense overhelps, you throw in and kick out. So that's what you're essentially looking. You're looking to create an advantage, and this is just through screening. We have other packages where it's like you have guys like Karras or Darius who can play one-on-one. You get a matchup that you want, or even just a regular matchup. Those guys go one-on-one, whichever way they go, towards the middle or to the baseline. You have like correct spacing that you want to do. So essentially, Kenny's giving us pictures of like, hey, when this happens, go to this. One of these three things. So he's giving you options on like what he wants when this happens. So think about it over the course of 30 games, however many practices that is, all those pictures that you're seeing, like when you watch quarterbacks that are looking at the iPads, like they're looking for those pictures so your brain remembers, okay, when I see this, I know that this guy is going to be here, this is going to be open, this is going to be open. So it's more like read and react because you get into the pictures of it.
And it seems like you guys get into it like really quick. Like obviously not just in transition, but it seems like you can tell that they're not set plays because of just how like you said, you flow into it or it's in transition. There's no way you'd be able to call that. It's not after a timeout, whatever. But they feel like they're set plays because you guys read and react off of each other like really well, which is, I think, a lot of the reason why you're getting these like easy buckets that you weren't getting last year because you're cutting or like you're in spaces where people know you're going to be.
Yeah, I think our team is shooting 40% from three. I think it's a lot of, spatial awareness that, we've kind of been taught. But I think that's kind of where the NBA is going, right? Golden State started it with not really having plays. They just had really smart players, whether if it was Draymond, Andre Iguodala, Clay. Then you had Kevin Durant into that mix. They kind of started the free-flowing stuff, whether if it was cutting, ball screen, playing off each other.
Getting into a Zoom or whatever.
Yeah, and Boston does the same thing.
Yeah, I always wonder how much actual teaching's happening in the NBA because obviously a lot of teaching is happening at the high school level. Obviously, I was a high school coach, really good one. And even at the college level, Division III college level, a ton of teaching is happening.
Yeah, Kevin,
so I always wondered how much
relatable.
Okay. Interesting to hear. I'd like to give you a couple people right now. The first fan returns came out today. By the way, I just got a text from your boy, Big Ant from Boston, who said my latest video is hilarious, which it is. So if you haven't watched it,
yeah, Big Tom.
Have you watched it yet?
No, what is it?
We should get a live.
I have to use my phone.
Yeah, you pull your phone up, see George, so he can text his friends. This is going to be a live picture of George watching my video for the first time. This is the one I just posted today. As you're doing that, let me know when you pick it up. The first NBA All-Star voting has come in, and we're going to read some of these results. You got it up now?
Is it week 9 post ACL surgery?
No, the one after that.
All of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I'm looking over here. I said, ain't no fucking way, bro. Ryan Seacrest on the TV. I'm like, yo, I ain't seen him in a minute. So as soon as I clocked that, now my mind's I'm thinking, yo, I see this shit. I'm street smart. I already know what's happening.
This is live reaction.
As soon as he gets up, I look out this side. Boom! Big ass fucking ball, bro. Big ass lit up. All that. Yes.
Live reaction. He's hearing it.
I said, oh shit. Now I know. So now I'm trying. My boy bugged out. I'm like,
So I'm trying to get everybody situated and stuff because I be like, oh
I'll be
my
clocking.
God.
I see it.
And that's the worst because it's like I don't care about what your thought process. Just tell the story. Tell what actually happened.
Yeah.
I don't need to know what's going on.
Because people use stories as opportunities to tell you how good they are at something. Look, because I already seen it. I'm from the streets. I understand already what's going on. So I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, it's like we don't need to know what you're thinking, dude. We would need, and also
Unless
it's the
you're
ball
like
drop.
really fun. Unless you're like Drewski, Kevin Hart. Who else is there?
The funniest of the funny.
Doug Townsend.
Theo Vaughn.
Yes.
Hilarious.
Theo Vaughn. I want to know all the thoughts. He's hilarious.
He is really the funniest. Okay. I'm going to read some names of some people that have more votes than Evan Mobley. This is no disrespect to anybody.
Do we really need to be let down? Should let me down and then I'll.
Paulo Banchero. How many games has he played?
I don't even think he's eligible.
Well, he's got the 4th amount of votes in the Eastern Conference.
Paulo Banchero
Jimmy Butler
has played in 5 games this year.
Hey, Paul George has more votes than Evan Mobley. And also Jared Allen. Now, one of the names that I do like that's up here is Franz Wagner because I think he deserves it. He was playing really, really well. He's hurt now.
Is he going to be able to get in?
I don't think he'll play, but it'd be nice to see him get in.
He has
Joel Embiid.
He's not eligible to play.
Well, a lot of people are getting this. Again, this is just fan returns. It's obviously a little bit of a popularity contest. But one thing I will say is that guards in the Eastern Conference, number 2 coming in at guards, Georgie, is Donovan Mitchell. So that's a guy who's popular. Who do you think is number 1 for guards in the Eastern Conference? And it's not who you think.
Damian Lillard.
LaMelo Ball.
Wow.
So not what you would think. And also a lot of people.
25.
Yeah, a lot of these people having more votes than Darius Garland, which is wrong. Derek White has more votes than Darius Garland as well, which is he's a nice player, but he is not He's not Darius Garland. So all that to say this, vote for our boys.
Yes.
Get all 4 of them into the
It's Hey, everybody here on the podcast, it's mandatory that, you go out and you vote. Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. It's mandatory. Those guys deserve to be in the All-Star game. What they've done this year is remarkable with not only being available, sacrificing minutes, sacrificing shots, and still having extremely efficient, stat lines. It's been really
Studs.
impressive, and we're winning. So winning needs to be rewarded, and that's mandatory.
I agree with that. Speaking of impressive stat lines, our boy, a friend of the podcast who has no idea who I am, and you probably know him, but not me, Russell Westbrook had a perfect triple-double, 7 for 7 from the field, no turnovers, 16 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. And in that same game, Jokic also had a triple-double.
Yeah. How about that? Jokic is trying to catch up to Russell Westbrook's record, which I'm sure he doesn't care about, but it's funny because it's like, damn, Russie, like, let me get one more rebound.
Like, let him get one, I know. When you played them, like, what's Russ like? Is he just a dog? He has no friends. He doesn't talk to anybody. That's what he seems like.
He's actually a really great person, but I think he said this before, like publicly. When he gets on those lines, like he is a different person. So
don't you like that?
So I mean, I go down. It's the 27th. I'm going down to eat breakfast. I think we stay at the Four Seasons out in Denver, and I walk down there because I'm already knowing. No. So I was sitting down there just grabbing an iced coffee, and he like walks up behind me and like pretended to like grab something out of my pockets. He was like, "See, look, you ain't even paying attention, man. You ain't even." And then his family was there, so we said hello and all that, and he's sitting there eating breakfast, and then we get to the game, and I was on the bench, and he was over by our bench, and I was like, "Yeah, Russ, that was real gangster of you." He looked at me, and he was like, "Shut the fuck up."
It's a total vibe change.
And then like started chasing someone out the bed. It was like, it's so funny because he's just two totally different people, and he's been elite for such a long time, and he did it his way. So like when he lives by that motto, like why not? Like why not go out my way? Why not do things my way? And he's been a phenomenal person. Like you ask people how he is as a teammate, like nothing but great things to say, and scrutinized by the media, scrutinized by other people, but he's still going to go out and be himself. And I have nothing but the utmost respect for Russell as a person, and even more respect, I shouldn't say even more respect. I have more respect for him as a person, but a lot of respect for him as a player because he's been remarkable. He's broken records. He's done amazing things, but above all, he's an amazing person.
Yeah, it's cool because you do see, like, thank God a little bit for the internet, because you do see some of these clips of him at press conferences or with his family, and you realize he's like a family man. He's a good dude. And then you hear other people talk about him on like podcasts and stuff. Like Pat Bev talks about him on his podcast, and they hated each other. I mean, they used to get after it. And he's like, they spent a season in LA together.
Well, because Pat Bev ran into him when he was in Houston, and Russ busted up his knee for.
Yeah, he hurt him, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. But even with that bad blood, they're like cool now. It just seems like he's liked by everybody. He got shit on when he was in LA, and he's found roles in other places. And you're right, he's just done it his way. And the coolest thing to see, like, I like people that are different when they're between the lines. It's just basketball. It's never dirty or anything with him, but he's not there to like have a friend at all. And so it's cool watching him a little bit older again in his later stage of his career, still making winning plays, diving after balls, like getting after it. It's good to see.
How funny was it? Did you see the clip of when they played Detroit the night after?
No, I didn't see it.
And Russ drove to the hoop, and Isaiah Stewart, the one that like chased LeBron around. Yeah.
Yes.
He like elbowed him or whatever and was talking like, ain't nobody fucking scared of you. Like
that's what Russell said to Isaiah?
Yeah, that's what Russell said to Stewart. And there's like a running joke in the league. They're like, nah, you can't mess with Isaiah Stewart because, that motherfucker don't care. He tried to chase LeBron around, like, so he really don't care.
Yeah.
I was like,
true.
Russ, tell him. He's like, I want all that. I want all that.
And deep down, I think it's true. Like, I really think that's how he is. By the way, also the best basketball meme of all time, without question, is the one where Russell Westbrook's he's on the ground and he's looking like he's like waiting for the foul call because he just took a charge, and the caption is like, when you look at the lifeguard and you're waiting for them to give you the okay to go down the water slide. He's like,
funny. That's almost as
All-time
funny
great
as the
meme.
one where he was like, "What? I'm always tripping."
oh yeah. That's a video though. Anyway, he's been the man of many viral moments, so it's good to see him.
Yeah, Kev, I'm
okay.
gonna need you to give me a breakdown of who do you think is gonna be some of the all-stars in the East Coast, and we'll kind of wrap on that.
Sure. I'll give you who I really think I want to be an all-star. And I kind of said it already, but Franz Wagner has, I mean, the way he was playing at the beginning of the season has shown himself not just as a good Batman to Banchero's Robin, but a really good Batman A. If Banchero's Batman, Franz can be Batman A, I think. And that whole Orlando team is playing really hard. I know we talked about last week, but like
shout out to them. Like, wow.
They just keep losing people and they keep winning. And they have like hard fought games. I always say Cole Anthony was always one of my favorite players coming out of UNC. I know he had a weird year that year, but I always thought he was going to be a good player, and he's turning into a pretty good player. I think he got extended this year. What I don't want is a popularity contest, which is what you're going to get. Like, no offense to Paul George, but they're not winning down there at all. So it's hard to think Paul George deserves it over somebody like Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. You got to think that Boston's going to get both, like two of those spots with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, but hopefully someone else can get in there. It'd be cool to see Cade Cunningham in Detroit, who's playing really well. He's averaging like 24 points a game. He's playing really well, and Detroit's actually winning games. Like, they have a shot at playoff push. Jaden Ivey's going to be out for a while with a broken fibula, but that sucks. Did you see the clip, by the way? Because I didn't see it. Is it like a Kevin Ware situation?
No, it wasn't that. But anytime you see that and know what the end result is, you kind of want to refrain from watching that. But, shout out to Cade Cunningham, though, because
he's playing well.
Yeah, no, he's done a phenomenal job of dialing in and still being extremely effective and winning games. A lot of times you find the situation where the team starts to try to win and you aren't as effective because you can't just shoot whatever shot. His assist numbers are up, his percentages are up, his points are up. He's as good as advertised.
I do want to ask you, speaking of all-stars, because we're on this topic.
Me?
Who do you want to see win MVP? Not who you think, but who do you want to see MVP? It can't be a Cavs player.
If it's not a Cavs player, who do I want to see win MVP? It definitely probably can't be in the East then, huh?
It can be whoever you want. Whoever you think has a good shot of winning.
I would like to see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander win MVP. I think everything that he represents has been awesome, sticking it out in OKC. Remember when they were having him, like, I don't want to say sit games, but he wasn't playing games in the year they were, like, really down.
Mm-hmm.
He's just overall 3-level scorer, polished game.
Stud.
About his teammates. I think what the culture that he's kind of built down in OKC has kind of been allowed because he's just seems like a solid person, which allows to spread the wealth. He can go get a bucket on his own, but genuinely happy for his teammates. So
gets after it on the defensive end too, which then they all do.
Yeah, it's been real cool.
I want to see him win one too. And speaking of all-star, I'd love to see Jalen Williams get a nod too. I mean, he's a player down there.
Yeah,
one of the two Jalen Williams that both play on that team.
Chill. I'd love to see. Why isn't Donovan Mitchell in the MVP conversation?
He should be. He's the best. Look, if you are looking about the best player on the best team, you've got a great argument in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You've got a great argument in him. You also have a really good argument in Donovan Mitchell. Because obviously his numbers, like his scoring numbers, have gone down. But with that scoring numbers going down, everybody else's has gone up on the team. So it's hard to think that if you're, again, talking about the best player and the best team, how is he not in the conversation? And again, it just adds to the Cavs are not getting the respect they should be getting. And so should we punch our ticket for Donovan Mitchell for MVP?
I'm looking at his stats. This dude has averaged 20-plus in the NBA every single year. And this year he's averaging almost 24 and has played the least amount of minutes.
Yeah, what is he averaging minutes-wise, right? What is he averaging?
500 career games.
What is he averaging minutes per game?
31. Last year was 35. Year before that, 35, 33, 33, 34, 33, 33. It's the lowest.
Now tell me, like as an NBA player, there is a difference in 5 minutes a game, right? Like over the course of 82 games.
Yeah, if you're a guy that has the ball, he could do it. Have you seen him in the third quarter? He can get 9 points in a hurry.
And he does it often. He just takes them. It's like he takes over certain games, and it's just like you already know what's coming, and he's gonna do it.
Yeah, he's making the most threes that he's made, and he's shooting at the highest percentage. You can look at numbers all you want. I think at the end of the day, we have a great team. We have a deep team. We're gonna have to continue to win and continue to make noise, in the playoffs. But we're totally cool and content with it being, people not buying our stock or whatever it is. We'll just keep showing up and continuing to strive to win and be better.
Do you guys is a lot of this bulletin board material? Like, are you putting this stuff up on? You don't even care
at this point. Like, I think when you get to this point, you're like, all right, we have a chance to do something really special. Let's dig deep, dive in, look at something outward other than yourself, and make it happen.
Have you thought about what the party may or may be if you do get lucky enough? And I won't even say to what. What do you think that's going to be? And am I invited to it?
No,
can I host?
Because then you'll be the dude that in the story, like telling stuff about high school hoops. Be like, oh yeah, I had thought that, but like knowing me, like I knew that I was going to eventually be at a party like this because I talked to God. Like that's the stuff that you do.
I've never once done that. I've been in one social situation. You've been mad at me because I got beer.
And you do this, you're like, and I scored 34 points in a men's league running clock. So technically, I'm better than George.
Let me tell you who's going to want me there. Sam Merrill, big Grill Guy fan. Sam Merrill loves me.
Yeah, that's your alter ego. That's not really who you are.
No, we talk. We're friends. We DM. We're actual friends. Yeah. So he'll want me there, and then that's probably about it. But I think if Jarrett Allen knew me, he'd really like me.
I'd introduce you, be like, hey, this is my cousin Larry. We just picked him up.
He's been having a hard time.
Yeah, so we just want to be around some positive energy.
He just got out.
That's awesome. Well,
okay. Well, look, we're going to come back next week. We may or may not have a guest.
No guest. Me and Kevin are just rolling it out.
I want to have a guest. George doesn't, but I think we should. Let us know in the comments if you want there to be a guest. How's that? If we get overwhelming support for a certain particular person, we'll ask them to try to get them on. We're a Cavs show. Let's hear it. Clap it up for George's beard. It looks really good today. You got lined up. It looks really good. Do they touch your eyebrows? Be honest.
Do not.
They don't touch your eyebrows?
No.
They just come like that?
Ain't nobody touching these caterpillars, man.
Damn. You really like that.
Anyway, thank you guys for coming and supporting. We appreciate it. Like, subscribe, follow. We're on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You get on there.
Subscribe, like, comment. Our comments are going up. Our watches are going up.
Go.
This is a rocket ship for 2025. It's our year.
Here we go. Oh, yeah, George, 2025. Happy New Year, Bench Sheet Podcast listeners. We love you guys. We're going to have some more surprises, cool stuff, maybe even a little merch. I don't know. We might start to get a little hoodie going.
We should get some merch.
Yes, sir.
I'm with it. Should we do a hoodie or should we do one of those T-shirt hoodies?
Nah, I think we should do a hat and then a hoodie. We'll go from there.
I think you're right. All right, George, thank you. We'll see you in Cleveland next week, a week from today. I'll see you in Cleveland.
All right.
Okay, guys.